It's the show where I just talk about whatever the hell I want to talk about. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about Mason's standardized tests for high school. How crazy is that? Client layoffs, returning to the office, soccer, shockingly, and protecting marriage equality. So while we're waiting on folks to join, will you please note that Cooped Up is my website. You can visit that anytime. And wherever you are on social places, I'm Cooped Up as my handle. Instagram would be a particularly favorable one to do it. And then wherever you watch or listen to this is broadcast on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and rebroadcast in audio format on all of the major podcasting platforms. Be sure to subscribe and click the bell, whatever their notification system is, so you don't miss a minute. I appreciate it. And as always, a reminder, if you are watching live, there's about a 20-second delay between the time I say the words and you hear them. So love it when you comment. Please comment away. Say anything you want. Ask me questions, all of that. But just know that there's going to be a little bit of a lag between the time you do it and I see it also. So there may be, just help me out here. Help a bitch out. So, alrighty, well, with that, let's get rolling. The biggest thing of the day, and by the way, pardon my voice, it's starting to come back, but it's still a little scratchy. I lost it over the weekend, and so I now sound like a frog. The biggest news of the day is that Mason took his first round of the IC test, ISEE, which stands for Independent Schools Evaluation Exam, I think is what it stands for. It's basically the SAT for private high schools. And we're having to go through that. And if you want to take it twice, you have to take it the first time. Sorry about that. You have to take it the first time. Man, what a little reset that was. You have to take it the first time before December 1st, and you can take it once after that also. So we got in just under the wire for our first try, hopefully the only try. But it was a fascinating experience. So first of all, he took it here at the house. Actually, on this very computer, I had to clear off my desk. There was strict rules that he could only have 4 pieces of paper on the desk, 2 pencils, and he couldn't even have water or anything like that. He had to put the water like right there so that during a break time, he could have a little sip of that. But it was all done on a secure server. We had to go download a special program that we had to open, sign in with like a series of codes, check all the sound and all of that kind of stuff. And it just took over the whole computer. It shut everything else down, blocked no notifications, nothing. It was fascinating. And I guess this is how they do now. Like if you take the SAT at home or whatever, and it is proctored, there was a person actually physically watching him. Asa was the person's name. And he had to have sound on the whole time so they could hear all the sounds going on around him as well. Had to take a photo of himself, had to show I had to get his passport and take a photo of the front of it and then take a photo of the inside of it. Yeah. And then again, a proctor signed on and was like, told him what needed to happen, what was going to go on, all of that kind of stuff. What a weird job that your job is being a proctor for kids, private school kids at that, sitting at home, taking a test in the middle of the day. And they had 2 test sessions. They had one this morning, 2 available test sessions, one this morning and one this afternoon for the weekdays. That's how they do it. On the weekends, they have more spots. And then they only have, and I don't know how many kids the proctor is watching, but I know that there is a certain number of spots in each of the slots as well. But so unusual. And he took every minute of time. They actually don't let you take less time. Even if you finish early, you just have to sit there through the rest of the timed part of the test. It's a five timed sections ranging between 20 and 50 minutes long. And then the 5th one is an essay. So, and then the computer, Mason hit a key and it actually locked the computer. And he had to come get me. And the proctor's like, what are you doing? Where are you going? Blah, blah, blah. Because they give you a warning and all of that kind of stuff. And we explained to the proctor that the computer got locked because they check on you being in the room. And then here's the even more interesting part. To make sure that you had to sign all this stuff saying you would not share the questions, you would not share your cheat sheets, all that kind of stuff. So when he was done with the test, before he had to submit it, he had to show them all the 4 pieces of paper and he had to rip them up into small pieces on camera. The person had to hear the sound, see it, all of that, and then he threw them away. And then they were like, "Okay, you're done." Raven is saying, "I used something like this for a certification exam I did during COVID. Had to cover all framed photos and even the clock with sheets. Felt like it was a Shiva." Well, that's so he was allowed to have all of the Cooper Koch experience going on behind him. Here in I always say the Cooper Koch World Headquarters for Crafting and Global Domination, or Global Headquarters for Crafting and World Domination. That's actually what I say. But yeah, it was interesting. I'd never seen anything like that before. Because, back in my day, when we took tests, we had to go down to an actual spot and do it. And everyone had to go there at the same time. This, at least, I guess, kind of relieved the pressure. I shut the blinds so there was no distraction outside, cleared off the desk, unplugged anything that might potentially make a noise, took the printer offline, all of that. So I did not want anything to fuck it up. That's what I didn't want to happen. So, what else did y'all see? This is the sports section of Cooped Up Live today. Yeah, that never happens. The United States beat Iran at the World Cup, and it was supposedly, I didn't watch the game, but supposedly it was a very, very hard-fought game, hard-fought win rather. And hang on, I'm putting on my do not disturb. I was starting to get notifications on my telephone there. And I'm really, really glad, not just because I'm an American and we won and all that kind of, the patriotism and all that kind of stuff. I'm really happy we won because can you imagine the propaganda? And there's already probably going to be a lot of this anyway, but the propaganda and all of that in Iran, if they had beat America, if Iran beat the great American monster, because they already hate us anyway, right? And there's all kinds of stuff. And there's these protests going on, and they're putting all of these people to death, supposedly. And even in, I never know how to say it. Is it Qatar? Like I've seen it pronounced like a million different ways, and I've read that if you're an English speaker, it is almost certain that you are saying it wrong if you're using any of those. So I don't know what the correct is. So we're going to go with Qatar. So so supposedly in Qatar, there have been some people, Iranians, who are wearing T-shirts that just say something like "woman, liberty, life" or something like that, and they're getting arrested and harassed and all that. It's a bad situation with that. I cannot even imagine being. I feel badly actually for the soccer players who now have to go back. I would not be surprised if many of them do not claim asylum. The problem with claiming asylum, though, is that I think a lot of their families and stuff get tortured and harassed and all of that when they go home. Because they all did they not sing during the national? There was something that they did. They did not sing, or I don't think they knelt. I think literally it just did not sing the national anthem for Iran when they were first playing the first game. This was a knockout game, supposedly. Can you believe I know all of these words in the right order about the right thing? Like, that shocks me. I'll be honest. I watch soccer for the thighs and the asses and the cutie pies. Like, that's why I watch it. I have no idea what's going on. It's so many things about the sport would make me not typically be interested in it. The field is so huge. There's so many people on it. The score is so low. Although, in reality, American football is an equally low scoring game. We just count everything by sevens. So if a game was 14-21, it was literally only 2-3 in reality. Or something like that. I could be a little off on the scoring, but that's what I assume. I know a little bit about sports, not a lot. But I feel badly for those Iranians who have to go back now. I know a number of Iranians who are all here in the United States, and all of them say that they are Persian. I don't know any of them who actively say that they are Iranian. And they all came over right before the revolution, which was the revolution. Was that like 1969, 1979? something like that. I think it might have been 79 because they're about my age. And I was born in 74. Unless they were born in the United States, they may have been. But I think some of them were actually brought over as young children. I need my fact checker here. Eric texted me last night saying, hey, did you not do your show today? And I did. I did it yesterday. And for some reason, certain people aren't getting notified anymore. So check your settings. If you're an avid watcher and you see this and you did not see it live and you want to, check your settings to make sure you always get updates on when I go live. And again, this is aired on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and then rebroadcast later on other spots. Interestingly enough, Facebook has now rolled out a thing where, so this is on Cooped Up. It is like my fan page. It's the only place you used to be able to like use all these tools and stuff to broadcast live in a way that was like measurable and all those types of things, right? Well, Facebook has now rolled out for certain people, and I'm one of them. I have not used it yet, but I'm one of them where you can actually use your regular profile page as your Facebook page, and you get all the same tools, all of that kind of stuff. And so I'm debating. I'm like, so I've got this Cooped Up page. It's got, I don't know how many followers. Y'all can probably see it right now if you looked. I think I've got like 600, 700 followers here. But on my profile, I've got like 3,000 people. And you can't merge them. So I'm just debating on whether to broadcast in both places or just switch over completely or just leave it exactly like it is. If you have a preference, let me know. Even if you're not watching this live, feel free to chime in, send me a DM, slide into my DMs on that. So what else? I've had a really unusual week this week. And it's weird that it is happening this week. So coming back from Thanksgiving break and being straight up into the holidays now, I have had a surprising number of clients and friends laid off in the last 2 days. I know that we're going into hopefully a soft landing and that things are slowing down. But I thought a lot of the reason that maybe we were overemployed is that things were just overly heated up before. I don't know. But it does have me a little worried. I fortunately, and I know some of the moms of my team listen to this, so I'm talking directly to you right now. Do not be worried. I am the ant, not the grasshopper. After the Great Recession, one of my big things is I always try to keep my payroll below a certain proportionate amount, ratio, that's the word I'm looking for, of our income. And then I save like 25% of the rest of it, of the income, specifically so that I don't have to rebuild a team. So I don't specifically have to lay people off. That was terrible in the Great Recession, having to do that. And especially if we are going into recession, I'm not saying we are. I think we're kind of talking ourselves into it. But if we are going into one, supposedly it's going to be real quick, real fast. And I don't want to have to rebuild a fucking team after that. I'd rather just spend the money I saved to keep the people I like, and hopefully they show me the loyalty too. But we will see. One of the people, I actually got a call today from someone who got laid off. And they got laid off, and they were told, you're being laid off effective next week. So you have to work the rest of this week. And she was actually working hard this week. She was getting stuff approved. She called me to tell me like what to do next, all that kind of stuff. And I had to pay her a compliment at the end of the call. It's like, you know what? You're a much better person than I am. If I were told your last day is Friday, I would act like it was yesterday. Petty. You don't have to get petty. You don't have to get petty if you stay petty. Isn't that the saying? Isn't that what the kids say? But man, and interestingly, so this whole recessionary talk, I feel like CEOs are talking themselves into it also, like reading all these things and hearing the same things and all that stuff. And you're also starting to see a lot of CEOs get braver. Is my mom watching, by the way? She's usually always the first one to say hi. I'm guessing she did not get a notification. But the CEOs are getting bolder about calling people back to work. So a lot of these companies that said, oh, we're going to go remote only or hybrid workplace or that kind of thing are now changing their tune, and they're saying, hey, we don't like it. And I don't know if it's a control issue. I do think that teams work better when they're close together. And there's magic that happens in the room when people are together. I don't know if that has to happen all the day. I don't know if it has to be 40 hours a week or not. I don't think it does. But I do think that 100% remote is not a healthy environment for your career, for your internal relations within your company, for just spontaneous things. People say, but I'm so much more productive. I don't know if that's true or not, actually. So anyway, now that maybe I'm the old CEO type now, I did promote myself to president of my company when I changed the name. I used to be principal and now I'm president. But a lot of CEOs are getting gutsier and they are calling people back into the office, and not just the Elon Musk types. I'm talking about, what was one of the other ones? I just saw it this morning. Was it Airbnb maybe? Or it was some company that I was really surprised that they, of all companies, were like, nope, you'll have to come back into the office. Apple's making people go back 3 days a week. I think Meta, Facebook's owner, is as well. Hey, Sandy. How you doing today? Hope you are doing great. But I'm just finding it interesting. And here's the kick in the head. So I just signed a lease for a significantly smaller office. I'm going from like 3,600 square feet to about 1,100 square feet because our office is we're not work from home 100%. I don't think I will ever be that person either. I'm not going to say I'm not. I allow it. We already work from home on Fridays anyway. We have for years, but and we're pretty flexible about it. But we're doing a more collaborative space where it's like one big room with lots of tables in it, and then a meeting room, a little kitchen, which is super cute, by the way. I cannot wait to show it off to you. Gorgeous bathroom. And it's real close. It's right next to Sylvan 30th, the mixed-use development close to my house. So you can walk to Taco Deli, Houndstooth Coffee, all that kind of stuff. So I'm very excited about it. But it is funny that I shrunk my office by almost 3/4 right as everyone is like, okay, it's time to come back to work. Time to come back to work. What else is going on in your life? I've got one more thing on my topic list. Oh, no, I have two things actually. I talk about this almost every time it happens, but it never ceases to surprise me. So I picked up Claire from school today at 3:30. Mason was here still taking that test. It went from noon to 4:00, like a marathon. Isn't that crazy? Thank God it's over. And hopefully he got a good score and doesn't have to take it again. But so I picked up Claire at 3:30, and I had 2 packages I needed to return to the UPS store to get sent to Amazon. And so just went directly from the school to that. Didn't want to interrupt Mason with Claire coming home and all that stuff. And just moments ago at 4:39, it's 4:50 right now. So 11 minutes ago, I'm pointing at that of the screen because I get my text up there. A refund has already been issued on one of the items that I returned. So Amazon is like so on it. $75.76 for the Keurig K Mini coffee maker that I bought, the single serve coffee K-Cup thing that I bought that subsequently went on sale during, so I bought it like 2 weeks ago, and then it went on Cyber Week, Cyber Monday, Black Friday, whatever, all of the things went on sale for $49. So I just ordered a new one for $49 and then sent the other one back and got a full refund, $75.76. So just on that alone, what's that, $30 I saved? That's good. But that never ceases to amaze me that they don't even see the condition of it or anything. They just, once UPS scans it, you get the refund within like 30 minutes. Do they do that to everybody? Like, I have to also wonder, like, if you have a really good track record with Amazon, do they just trust you and then they verify later? Or do some people have to legitimately wait for them to be received? Because one of them also is going to UPS ground to Kentucky, somewhere in Kentucky. And that one said that it would be like a 14-day window before it hits they would refund my account quickly, but I wanted it back on my credit card. So that always interests me how they do that. And also just like what algorithm is used to decide who gets the fast refunds. Sorry, a little stutter there. Sandy's saying I have I have had the same experience with the Amazon refund process. I'm there for it. Like, so here's my thing. So people talk about Amazon being the big bad wolf, right? And Walmart being the big bad wolf, and we all should buy local, family-owned businesses, and all of that kind of stuff. Here's my thought on that. I'm an Amazon and a Walmart super fan. I'm not going to lie. I'm also a local super fan. I think, though, that a local store that is trying to compete on price and trying to compete on the same level of selection of Amazon or Walmart is setting themselves up to fail. No one goes into a small store expecting the cheapest price possible, or no reasonable person to. You go into it for great customer service. You go in it for a curated experience. You go into it for a knowing that you're going to find the perfect thing with little. It's like I think of like a local store like down here in the Bishop Arts District or something as a physical version of like a gift guide. Like you walk into it and they've already said, these are all the great, like I have good taste. Here are all the things that I like. Like when I recommend stuff to y'all, like it is a physical version of that. And then pay for the service, pay for all of that. Amazon's kind of encroaching on the service part of that with this easy peasy lemon squeezy thing. Target also, so yesterday they had the air fryers on sale. And if you bought it online, not in the store, if you bought it online, they gave you an extra 15% off yesterday. So you can get an air fryer. What was it? What did I say? It was like $48, something like that. Like shockingly low after those two discounts. Maybe it was $68. So I think it was $68. Keep in mind, this is news-ish. I'm not real good with the numbers. And then the last thing I have on my card is and this happened originally while we were away, and I wanted to talk about it then, but I wasn't broadcasting during those 2 weeks that we were away. But today something happened on it as well, which gives me an opening. So the Senate and the House of Representatives are finally going to codify marriage equality, specifically interracial marriage and same-sex marriage. But no one talks about the interracial part really. But the same-sex marriage, they're going to codify it into law so that it is not hinging strictly on a Supreme Court verdict, the Obergefell versus whatever the one was. But I was very heartened to see how many Republicans crossed the aisle to support the bill enough in the Senate. The Senate is voting, actually, I think right now. I think they started at about 2:45 Central Time, and they have to do like 3 procedural votes before they have a final vote, and then they send it back to the House. The House has already passed something, I believe, or said that they're going to, and then they have to reconcile it. Again, news-ish. This is not a civics lesson, but I was surprised at how many senators came forward and said this is reasonable. Mitt Romney, who, of course, so many Republicans hate now, their literal presidential candidate 2 cycles ago or 3 cycles ago is now a Republican in name only. That's how far to the right that party has gone. And a Mormon at that. And even the Mormon Church has come out in favor of codifying these laws, protecting marriages like mine and Todd's and other people's too, so that we do not have the same thing that like Roe versus Wade had. Because that was the indication, is that any of these protections that were provided by the Supreme Court cases perhaps were not as safe as they thought they were going to be. So they needed to be actually written into law. Of course, the senators from Texas, neither of them voted in favor of it. No big surprise there. I just don't understand. Like, I don't understand. So like the interracial thing, isn't Ted Cruz kind of in an interracial relationship? I mean, he's Hispanic and his wife, is it Heidi? Gretchen? I think it's Heidi. Some German name. She's a white girl, right? And although I don't think that Hispanic is actually considered a different race. I think Hispanic and white are the same. Hispanics are a subset of white, and white actually only exists in the United States. Did y'all know that? I learned that by reading Isabella Wilkerson's book, Caste, and then I've seen other people talk about it. Only people in the United States identify as white. Everyone else is like, if you were in Germany, you were German. If you were in Italy, you're Italian. If you were in France, you're French. Sweden, maybe Scandinavian, but they don't use white like we do. It's so weird. Does Canada? I don't know if Canada does. They're kind of America light, much more liberal, but sometimes not. So the Senate is voting today, and then the House of Representatives is trying to get it pushed through before the balance of power changes back over, with a slim margin, over to the Republicans. By the way, did they get that settled? Actually, I don't know. Have all the races been called for the House of Representatives? I know the Senate, the Democrats have cinched and may get another seat if the lovely Texan by the name of Herschel Walker wins the Georgia Senate race. So, and by the way, the law that they're passing is actually not saying that all states are required to issue gay marriage licenses. And it's not gay marriage, by the way. It's just marriage. It's marriage equality. There's no such thing as a gay marriage, unless it's like, wee, it's a marriage. But the so it is saying that states, I had to write it down to make sure I say it exactly right. States must recognize other states' marriages. So if someone is married in Iowa, which I believe was the first state, that's Eric Johnson's home state. I believe that was the first state way back when that actually passed it legislatively. So it is an actual law and not a like judge saying, overturning something else. So if Iowa has, because there's this thing called like the good faith and fairness clause or something like that in the Constitution, that there are certain things that are the purview of the state, but to keep things from falling into total chaos, they have to all the other states have to recognize it if they're done in another state. Marriage is one of them. Divorce is one of them. Adoption is one of them. There's a number of things. I think inheritance, transactional things, legal arrangements that if one state has a law that allows it, all of the other states are required to, in good faith and fairness, I can't remember if that's actually what it's called, but something like that, are required to acknowledge it. That is what this is kind of reinforcing, that all states are required to recognize all marriage certificates issued by all other states. That is kind of how it is. So I'm not even sure it talks about interracial marriage or same-sex marriage. It may, but I'm not even sure about that. I think it literally says marriages legal in one state are legal or have to be recognized by other states. That's what I think they say. Boebert won in Colorado. So what I am fascinated about that is if you look at that county, there's no reason she shouldn't have won, and that it came down to such a thin margin that she did win says less about the voters and the other person and more about her. Because I think more people voted against her than voted for the other person, honestly. And it's a huge district, very western. I think it's the entire western, like, third of Colorado. So, okay, I know way more about politics than I thought. And what else? Was it Mormon Church? I already mentioned that. The Mormon Church came out and said it's about fairness and kindness, and just don't force them to do it. Don't force me to do it, but it's the right thing to do. Yeah. How's that play? Anyway, well, that's all I got. There's not many comments. Like, no one commented today. I'm going to vamp for about 20 seconds so that y'all have a chance to put in questions if you have any. We are for dinner tonight. We were originally going to have salmon and mashed potatoes. It's one of Mason's favorite meals to celebrate him taking the test. Tomorrow, I will not be here tomorrow, by the way. He has a school visit, a shadow afternoon at City Lab High School here in Dallas. And the Dallas ISD high schools go from 9:30 to 4:30. So I have to pick him up at 4:30, around 4:30. So I won't be able to make it back. And so we were going to go out to dinner tomorrow night to celebrate that. But I may flip-flop it because I hear the weather is going to be kind of crummy tomorrow. I think there's a big cold front blowing in tonight. It's going to be really cold and wet tomorrow. And so we may go out to dinner tonight and then just have the salmon and mashed potatoes tomorrow. So, All righty. Well, I guess that's it. I love you. It's important to know you are loved. I love that you watch this. Thank you for tuning in every day. I will see you Thursday at 4:30 for another episode of Cooped Up Live, should I say. Talk to you later. Love y'all. Bye. Bye.